Good morning. Sunday, March 16th, about 9:50 in the morning. Is anybody awake out there? There is one person. I say, welcome to the Casey What community broadcast. Pretty sure I'm awake. I think I'm awake. Right? The American dream is over. Isn't that it? Isn't that where we are? Is that what we're all waking up to? Now, it's not only the American dream, it's the American reality is over. We've got... Isn't that where we are? That mean grandpa and president and this... It seems like to me this is mean, kind of rapey grandpa. I say rapey, not just because he was convicted in court of being civilly, not criminally rapey, but civilly rapey. I say it not because that is on the record, and Trump boasting about it, but also, yeah, he's just got a rapey vibe. He's just got rapey energy. And him and Vance standing there with... Vance looks like his smug son there with his... Vance looks like somebody who would emotionally abuse his wife. He's just like, he would just say, you'd be at dinner and he would just make some cutting remark with this just smile on it, and he would just, you have to put your fork down. Just like, why? How could you be so cruel with this like smile and these glittering but sort of empty eyes? And so you get him standing there and together, and then you got Elon, and this is where I really lodge my first protest. And I'm not a political person, but how can you exist right now without commenting on Trump and government? They made themselves the story of everything, seemingly on purpose. And so, I've been thinking about, what can you do, and what is a protest, and an effective protest. And the only thing I could come up with was with, Musk's Department of Government Efficiency that he's come up with. My protest is, feel free to join me in this. You can do it right now in this linguistical protest. And I refuse to pronounce the name of his little group the way he wants. This acronym DOGE for the Department of Government. I don't refuse to say it that way. I believe that it's pronounced a different way. I think it's pronounced dodgy. And even the way some people pronounce it, it actually sounds even more like the shadowy organization kind of Bond villain runs. And it's not only the chosen name that has this tone of cartoon villainy to it. And so I'm pretty sure Department of Government Efficiency, DOG, is pronounced dodgy. That's how you say it. And people have told me it's different, but I'm about as convinced as you can be. I'm as convinced as Trump is that the 2020 election was stolen and Putin is a good ally. And I'm just as certain that the name of this group is pronounced the long E. It's dodgy. It's the brand name of this cartoon villainy Trump is presiding over. Yes, that's our rapist in chief. Make America rape again. You just kind of mumble. You hear it in there. You see it. Make America. You hear it. It's in there, right? Make America rape again. You mumble it just kind of under your breath. And so let's start with letting Putin rape Ukraine while Trump watches. Trump thinks all the best men have Eastern European wives they can cheat on. America is up for sale now. The right sold its soul. Now the soul, the nation, and the party is drifting. Its body politic will be given over to the highest bidder. A prize bride for the New World Order. It reminds me when I was a kid in the early 90s in Seattle, there were these protests and this violent resistance broke out around the event of a big World Trade Organization meeting. There was rioting and clashes with police in the streets, and this, it was on the news, and people in the riot gear and then, black hoods and masks, and this protest movement occurred because the World Trade Organization, the WTO, was meeting there, and they were thought to be the vehicle of a new world order. That's what people used to talk about back then. A new world order based on globalism and a single global government. This, I believe, in the early 90s, this was the last time a revolutionary left was seen on the news. And so, cognizant of this, Trump's rhetorical handlers undercut this by seemingly being anti-globalist. But in fact, we're witnessing this new world order coming together right now. Indeed, getting in bed together with Russia and dark money. And it's all of America that has to watch. I would say it's Trump's thing. Yeah, we ought to come to a compromise. The anti-globalism and the rise of the New World Order. All of Trump's rhetoric works like this. Say the diametrical opposite of the truth, which in a sense keeps the other side from making that claim about Trump and their side. And then in turn, you're claiming that rhetorical ground and then just defending it and saying it's yours and making the conflict until everyone's confused about whose it is. Here's another one. The election was stolen. How many times we hear Trump say that? And then what happens? Musk swoops in and steals it, paying millions to register Trump voters. Think anybody's going to talk about the election being stolen on the other side after Trump did all that? No, it's impossible. Here's another one. We need to cut the federal workforce. In fact, a lot of the people who get paid by the federal government are contractors, not federal employees on the payroll. And especially in the defense community, which Musk should be very familiar with, running companies that contract for billions with the Defense Department. Here's another example of claiming the rhetorical ground is the literal opposite. They are the enemy within. Remember that? How many times did we hear Trump say that on the campaign trail? They are the enemy within. Setting it up. Because now we see that, in fact, this is dodgy. This group, dodgy, the Department of Government Efficiency, that's the enemy within. But who's going to say that now? They've claimed that rhetoric. Or here's another one. We got dodgy, and how about another of Trump's brand names of cartoon villainy? Truth Social. How about that one? Truth Social works because Trump is a compulsive liar and lacks any precision or regard for verifiable facts. Works perfectly. In science, verifiable facts are everything. In politics, they've lost any meaning. And that was the express purpose of Truth Social. Here's another one. We're making our system a meritocracy again, making the government a meritocracy. This is the opposite, clearly the opposite of what the current administration is. And this false meritocracy is perfectly represented by Donald Trump, who is the original Nepo baby. He was the OG Nepo baby. and rose to power, although he never really grew up emotionally or cognitively, but he rose to power as the man-child hollow vessel who could embody the last gasp of toxic masculinity and the victory of the rhetorical right against political correctness they've waged since the 1990s, the 80s even. How many times have you heard that recently? Somebody say political correctness. Trump killed that for good. And now cartoon villainy reigns. You got Dodgy and Musk's unmistakable Bond movie bad guy vibe, and Trump's brand of superficial rich buffoon who lacks any values, which he is intent on turning America into. See, Trump can't do anything else. He lacks any possible self-reflection. As an egotist and a Nepo baby and a nihilist, all he can do is follow his own self-interest. Make America into the valueless and superficially wealthy, empty vessel that Trump himself is. And Trump and his people, the truth is that they're not near as powerful as normal citizens when they join together to pull off effective protests. And so it's just waking up, and really what we need is the positive project. And politics is overwhelmingly negative right now, but what everybody wants is the positive project. And the truth is, I'm not a political thinker. My project is not political. I was working on it 4 years ago, and 6 years ago, and 8 years ago, and it's spiritual and financial, but it's not political. So my project is concerned with the ideal and the essentially human. And those aren't political ideas. And so, of course, when there is political instability, of course it makes it seem more urgent. And so I'm having my first meeting today, Waldo Library. And I guess the reason I was thinking about this was because, I passed out this flyer, and it came across as a little bit too political, and I've since come up with some new material and trying to simplify it. But I distributed this and went around town on Friday, but now I have some new material, and so I'm going to work it out at this meeting here. Here's today. We're at the Waldo Library at 2:15. I'm just going to go through my book and each point there. And then coming up on Thursday, we've got one at the Plaza Library at 3:45. And so I guess that'll wrap it up for today here. I guess before I get off of here, probably a good time. I'm going to turn it off now, but I'm going to go ahead and practice my 7-minute speech about the first explainer video I posted on YouTube, and I think put it on my Casey What, the site too. And before I had this new material, I am working with a one-page handout that I'm going to use to go through the project with. Just hand it to them and fill it out as we go through everything. And so I've got some older material that I'm probably not going to use again. So I thought I might just go ahead and run off a version of it here on this. And this is my second explainer video. I think it runs about 7 minutes. And a few weeks ago, before I had this newer material, I was trying to run through and trying to memorize it, and I think I have most of it, and so I'll go ahead and run one here now, and hope to see you around at one of the meetings or in this next little video here. Okay, so here's what I was thinking with the speech. I was going to do. I'm not sure I'm going to do this one, but so I'm going to start it like this. Hello, possible participant out there. If you have about 7 minutes, I would ask that you spend it listening to me speak about the organization of the future. I have a prediction that I'd like to run by you. And this prediction concerns the way in which this organization will be universal. In my previous video about the organization of the future, I took 3 minutes to explain exactly how it would start. I pitched it as a live dinner delivery service combined with a compost pickup service, an organization that I call a community building project. In that first video, I described how these 100% compostable delivery bags would provide the basis of the project's essential operating principle, which is that we're not going to use plastic bags just because we haven't thought of anything else ahead of time. There's already enough organizations that operate that way, and it's easy to see why. Styrofoam takeout containers and plastic bags are cheap and readily available in different shapes and sizes. But the community building project risks taking a different approach. The approach risks taking the approach of considering the future first. Because that's how you start with the organization of the future. And so let's take a moment right now to imagine what would happen if this sort of dinner delivery service I'm suggesting found widespread use later on. And when you think about it in this way, it actually makes it easier to implement an important operating principle about packaging materials during the present time, the present day. Because right now, the project is small enough and local enough that it could be, that the first participants can insist on the principles and make sure it's done right. And so, indeed, the community building project model is small enough that it could be created anywhere. And it always begins with relatively small. It always begins with a minimum of 100 people, which is also large enough to create a critical threshold of participants in any particular area. But the community that the project creates, it's not just a reflection of the local community already in place, but rather it's a new kind of community. It's a community of voluntary participation. And that's how you can tell that this organization will become universal. because the universal invites only voluntary participation. And the choice on whether or not to participate exists for every individual person. But the universal is also shared, and its laws are principles. So a community created in this way is both entirely local and completely universal, because it is a community of people who have bought into the operating principles of the project, chosen to buy into the operating principles of the project. And the first one we've already covered, using only compostable packaging materials, because the project starts by considering its possible impact on the environment, and its packaging materials on the environment, and in that sense, on the future as well, because it intends to be the organization of the future. The second principle is that the dinner delivery service will also deliver other essential goods in addition to meals. It'll run from 6 to 9 p.m. at a minimum. And the third principle is more abstract. The project strives to make every transaction an ideal delivery for both parties. Because this isn't just about making a quick sale and forgetting about it, making a quick buck and forget. This is about building strong communities for the future. When you order from the Good Meal Deal, the interaction is not between customer and worker, but between participant and participant, or participant and neighbor. And so, my dinner delivery service and compost pick, it's called the Good Meal Deal. I'm trying to start it in Kansas City right now. But the community building project model could be generalized to provide other essential services than just a dinner delivery service and compost pickup service. But before we get into any of that, the first step is to get 100 people to buy into a local project within 3 weeks. Once that happens, the project has 2 weeks to start operating, delivering meals. And once the 100 people are involved, then we'll look for a place and a center and go from there. And so that's where we're at now. And we're looking at the first meeting today at Waldo Library at 2:15. Next one coming up on, what did we say? Thursday. There's today. We got Thursday coming up. And so I talked for long enough. If you're still watching this, I would be amazed, and thank you. But thank you for watching. And I hope to see you on here again, either in person or in here, the screen that separates us and brings us together. And so hope to see you then. All right. Have a good day today.